really gotta see if I can get my hands on some different books. You know, with all the dead people here, you'd think that the astral plane would have more reading material. 300 years and I've already read through everything at least twice. Oh well. What? Am I in the mortal plane? How did I get here? It's not... I didn't lose track of my dates, did I? No, it's not All Hallows Eve. It's not winter solstice. Then how did I... Who are you? Wait a second. I recognize you. Yeah, we've met before, haven't we? Penum the elf. I believe we may have talked, not last All Hallows Eve, but maybe the one before that. Maybe it was the one before that. I don't know. 300 years is a long time to be dead, so I might have gotten the year mixed up, but we've met before. Yeah, you were wandering around the streets of Whisperwind at night, alone, on All Hallows Eve, with no protection whatsoever from evil spirits that may cross over. On one of the nights of the year that the veil between the worlds is thinnest, and you were out here completely unprotected. Well, at least it looks like nothing too bad happened to you that night. Well, that's good. I'm glad my little protection spell worked then. So what? Did you summon me? Here, to this place. You summoned me to the mortal plane. Really? Well, I'm sorry. I'm sure that you're a very accomplished person in plenty of ways. But summoning a spirit that you have no personal connection with on a day of the year that is not necessarily associated with, you know, the veil being thinner, that's quite the feat. How exactly did you pull that off? Oh. Oh. Interesting. No, don't tell me. Don't tell me. This is an astral flower, isn't it? A special enchanted flower made only by the astral goddess herself, that's able to summon those from beyond the grave at your bidding. These are quite rare. Only the astral goddess knows how to make them, and she never leaves the astral plane. Interesting. I'm sure there's an incredibly fascinating story as to how you have this. Oh, we don't have time for that. Oh, well, excuse me for being curious. You did just summon me from beyond the grave, so I was just a little, curious on how that happened. But of course, if you went through the trouble of summoning me, I suppose you have something very urgent that we need to talk about, don't you? Oh, you do? Oh, sorry. Let's get down to business then. What can old Penum the elf do for you? Okay, well, fire away with these questions that you have for me. You wanna know more about the hollow? This hollow, the Whisperwind hollow. The source of all that magical energy that got corrupted and all of that. Well, how much do you know about it? Oh, you found my journal, translated it. All right, so you at least know most of the story. we were summoned here by some sort of a voice, a whisper, really. A whisper that just danced on the wind. If you weren't listening very closely, you might miss it before a breeze plucked it out of the sky and tossed it somewhere else. But it was this place. Whatever the energy is that's here, it was calling to us. And so we came and we learned how to siphon the energy. We learned how to study the energy and did all kinds of amazing things until it was corrupted by someone. Calamus. That's right. A pupil of mine who was very bright, very ambitious, and also very charismatic, and on the surface very kind. But he had us all fooled. Yeah. Anyway, what exactly did you need to know about this hollow? You seem to have the story already. There's not much more left to tell. You want to know how to unbind the energy? I'm sorry. You're really not asking me that, right? Me, the one who sacrificed their life in order to bind that corrupted energy so it didn't hurt anybody else? You really think that I'm just going to sit here and be like, oh yeah, totally. Let me tell you how to undo the thing that I sacrificed my life to do and, put the entire world in danger? No problem. Trust me, there is nothing that you can say that will convince me to help you do that. A prophecy, really. A prophecy says that you need to do it. Yeah, I'm sure. Here's the funny thing about prophecies is that they never really say what they actually say. You can read a prophecy and interpret it 50 different ways. Well, maybe not 50, but there are lots of different interpretations. And sometimes you might think that a phrase means one thing and it actually means a completely different thing. Prophecies are dangerous. And sometimes trying to fulfill a prophecy or trying to prevent a bad prophecy from happening does exactly the opposite. So if you're fulfilling it, then it makes it not happen. And if you're trying to make it not happen, then you make it happen. Prophecies are funny that way. Yeah, I'm sure that you are sure that you know what it means. That's what everybody who interprets prophecies thinks. All right, fine. Yeah, tell me. Lay it on me. Lay it on me with this fascinating prophecy of yours. Oh, you have it written out. That's convenient. The lost prophecy of Elan. Elan's been dead for hundreds of years. Thought all of his prophecies came to be. He had a habit of making prophecies that were very cryptic. All right. Let's see what this says. Dire foe of newfound might threatens overthrow the light. Well, that's a great way to start. It's not foreboding and scary at all. Relics scattered west and east. Power bound must be released. Okay, all right, I get how that sounds like, yeah, okay. But it's not necessarily what it means. What does the rest of this one say? The vessel of name once renowned, now cloaked by curse and time unfound, must be raised by keeper's hand, lest darkness reign throughout the land. Well, I don't know what any of that means. The vessel and keeper and raised, not like raised up, raised like destroyed. Well, that's unfortunate. Relics scattered west and east, power bound must be released. You heard about the relics. The 6 different objects that I used to bind this place. That's what you think this means, isn't it? Well, I mean, okay, I gotta hand it to you. That sounds pretty straightforward. But here's the thing about prophecies. They always are different than what you think they are. You think that you have them all figured out, and then it turns out you don't. Also, prophecies are not necessarily linear. Sometimes they are. Sometimes they are, but sometimes they aren't. You know, this line about dire foe finding newfound might, that might not be the first thing that happens. Maybe you unbinding this power is the power that the dire foe finds. You ever think about that? Yeah, I'm sure that you think that that's what this means. Well, do you have any idea who this dire foe might be? I mean, really, like, it sounds very cryptic and shadowy to me. Unless you actually know of some evil that's rising in the land, then maybe we could talk. But honestly, I don't... What? Calamus is not still alive. No, he perished that night 300 years ago. I think I would know it if he was still alive. Well, yes, he was trying to absorb the energy. He was trying to figure out the key to immortality, I guess. But he failed. The ritual failed. It wasn't... No, because a ritual requires some sort of a sacrifice. So it took his life and he died, and he didn't account for that. You know, it's possible that someone else in the world is named Calamus. You know, maybe it's a very common name amongst humans. Lord Calamus. It couldn't be. No, it couldn't be. What would he have been doing for the last 300 years? Calamus was nothing if not ambitious. There's no way that he would just be biding his time and living in secret for 300 years. I guess he could have maybe been looking for these relics. But how would he have known about the relics? It was only in my journal. And it was only in the pages of that chest. No, he couldn't have gotten that. What? You know about my chest. The little green chest that was enchanted where you could... Who found it? I put spells on it that were supposed to keep it safe. Yeah, I hid it in the attic of my old house in Whisperwind, and the only person who could find the chest was someone who was completely pure of heart. Clea found it. Oh, when she was a child. Well, why didn't I think of that? Children, obviously a child could... Well, she still shouldn't have been able to find the key. So I'm sure it's still, locked up tight. Good, safe and sound. She found the key. No, because the key was enchanted too, where you couldn't find the key if you were in possession of the chest. So it should have remained lost up in that attic too. Okay, slow down. So Clea and her sister found the chest when they were children, but then her sister left Whisperwind and took the chest with her. And That's when Clea found the key. Oh. Oh. Well, there's always loopholes to spells. Nothing is ever just, do the spell and this thing happens, or do the spell and this thing doesn't happen. There's always something, isn't there? All right, fine. So they have the chest, and the chest is opened. So they have the pages that were in the chest? No. You can't. You need to destroy those pages. Yes. Yes, those pages are the unbinding spell. The ritual that would help you unbind the magic, I suppose. But it was never meant to be found. Only in the most dire of circumstances, and it was supposed to be my companions or, whoever they chose to tell before they died who did it. Not just some random human who doesn't know anything about magic. It was never supposed to happen. I made the counter ritual while I made the ritual, just in case something went wrong. But it didn't go wrong, so I'm dire foe with newfound might. What could that mean? I mean, Calamus was, like I said, he was ambitious. It's possible that he was trying to find some sort of power that he could use. Threatens overthrow the light. Relics scattered west and east. Power bound must be released. So you really think it's your destiny to make this prophecy come to be, huh? You said that you've met, not, you didn't meet Lord Calamus, but you met his daughter? Red glowing eyes. The only thing I can think of that has red eyes is a red demon. But you would have been able to tell if she was a demon. Besides, I don't know how Calamus would have sired a demon, even if he was, I don't know, transformed by the energy. Unless he found a way to mesh something, create a demon? Or a partial demon? I really have no idea. But I guess that could be newfound power. Or maybe he is searching for these relics and he found something else that's powerful too. Well, it doesn't matter whether I want you to do this unbinding spell or not, because you're not going to be able to do it. You're not going to be able to find all 6 of these relics, because I don't know where they are. Even if I wanted to help you, which I'm still not convinced that I do, I can't help you. I told my companions to take these relics and scatter them to the wind, never to be seen again, and not to tell anybody where they were. I can't help you even if I wanted to. Now, I could tell you what these relics were, I guess, and I guess I could tell you some information about my friends if I wanted to. But tracking down all of these relics, I mean, who knows where all of them are? It would be a quest of a lifetime. Probably not a quest that a human in your short little lifetime could do. You're not... Okay. You're not a human. It's a glamour spell, huh? It's a good one. So you're actually an elf. Well, I mean, I guess that means you have some more time in your life, but it's still going to be quite the feat trying to find all of these relics. All right. All right, fine. If this is something that you're going to try to do on your own anyway, I can tell you what the relics are, at least. Because you're going to have to come back here before you can actually, you know, perform the ritual. Obviously, you'll need my relic, so you'll have to, you know, talk to my daughter and convince her to give that to you. Although she is not an easy one to convince. What? Yeah, my daughter. Oh. You didn't know that part yet. Okay. Forget I said anything. We'll deal with my relic later. Yeah, but you are gonna have to figure that out eventually, I guess. The rest of the relics, you know what? Instead of just telling you what they are, have you ever tried a mind meld spell before? Yeah, it's where I show you pictures from my mind and I can sort of put them into your mind. It's a little bit complicated, but I think, you know, being dead has its perks, especially being, you know, attuned to astral energy. I bet we could pull it off. Then I could show you what the relics are that you're looking for. Yeah? Okay, well, why don't you take a deep breath for a moment. Ready? Good. Now just try to let your mind go blank. I'm gonna try to just... There. Ignore my hands, it's fine. Just need to sort of channel your mind so that I can meld it with mine. There. Just try to let the world slip away for just a moment. And I'll let you into my mind. But just for a moment. There. Now, like I said, I can't tell you where to find these relics, unfortunately. But I can tell you the different objects that my friends gave me. Corvin was the first. He had this timepiece, this hourglass, that was carved by the dwarves. Corvin, he was always very outgoing, friendly, got along with everyone. And there was a dwarf who came to Whisperwind, wanting to learn more about this strange energy that people were talking about. He befriended her, and, well, they became quite close. Let's just say that. Now, dwarves are very connected to their homes, so she didn't stay with us for very long. But before she left, she gave Corvin this gift, an hourglass. He treasured that. So that was Corvin's, an hourglass. Now, Sabina, she had this necklace. I believe it was a family heirloom, if I'm not mistaken. It was a big metal collar piece with different bloodstone gems encrusted in it. It was beautiful. It had some sort of a magical aura about it, though I never got up the courage to ask her. And then Asterin, she had this little green box, a little round wooden box. It was painted beautifully, and it held soil from Namasera, from the trees right outside of Namasera. She treasured that. She was always very connected to nature and the trees. And I think leaving Namasera was particularly hard for her, especially with her family. But she held on to that soil. It was sort of a grounding, a reminder of home, I guess. Now, Emmerich, he was sort of the diplomat of our little group. He was very stoic, very wise, and very calm. So he was perfect for sort of acting as a liaison with the different cultures and the different peoples who lived around us. And he made a treaty with the dwarves. It had been quite a while since elves and dwarves had had good relations, but he was able to, well, smooth things over, I guess. And we had quite the allies in the dwarves, especially those from Napwen. They were closer to us, so in fact, the dwarf that Corvin was close to was from Napwen. And to seal the treaty, Emmerich gave the leader of the dwarves a gift, and the dwarf gave him this beautiful silver cuff that was carved with all of these different pictures and nature and geometric shapes and things. It was beautifully crafted. And he wore that every day. He said it wasn't particularly his style, but it meant a lot. It meant peace, which was something that he really, really valued and treasured. It was peace well earned. And then Malva, she gave me an earring. It was something that used to be her mother's. She kept one of them, actually. She didn't want to give me the set, which was fine. I didn't need 2 items, but she gave me the one. And then mine was my necklace that I wore. It was actually a collection of precious gemstones. My mother was a holistic healer within Namasera. So she made me that when I was very young. It was supposed to be full of stones that protected you, protected the mind mostly, but also just protected your energy and your spirit. So I gave that as my relic. Did you see all that? Good. Well, I guess that's what all the relics looked like, at least. So now you know what you're looking for. But like I said, I can't really tell you where to find any of them, except mine. But you'll have to come back and talk to me before you can get mine. Oh, you've seen the cuff before? Well, that's convenient. Look at that. You already got one down. Maybe you can do this. You lost it? Okay, I take it back. What do you mean you lost it? It was an incredibly rare and beautiful piece of jewelry. Not to mention it probably had a magical aura around it that you could sense, and you just lost it? A forest goblin took it. Well, then go back and offer them something in return. You know, they're pretty good at trades as long as you didn't leave on negative terms. Forest goblins aren't anything to be feared. Oh, you didn't leave on good terms. Well, what did you do to the poor thing? Poor goblins, they're so misunderstood. I mean, really, there's so many different misconceptions about goblins. Everyone thinks that they're just these awful, mischievous beings that are drawn to evil and completely lawless, and that's not it at all. I mean, yes, they often live in seclusion, or they have, their smaller community groups, and they sort of keep to themselves. But a lot of that is because people misunderstand them. It's so sad. So this goblin, you didn't hurt them, did you? Oh, okay. Oh, they kidnapped you. Oh. Well, okay, I guess there are some goblins who... Although, in this goblin's defense, they probably don't have a choice. If they live alone or live in a dangerous area, they have to do what they have to do to survive. All right, fine. Okay. Well, you should be able to reconcile with that goblin easily enough. Usually just any sort of gift. They like shiny things, or freshly baked bread is a favorite, or something sweet like honey. Or ooh, try to find some baby teeth. Yeah, baby teeth. Yeah, like you lose your teeth and your bigger teeth come in, and baby teeth. Yeah, no, it's a sign of purity, innocence, and trust, I think. Something like that in goblin culture. So just find a bag of baby teeth and give those to them, and probably have something better too to trade for the cuff. But yeah, you should be able to get that back, no problem. You don't want to start with that one. Well, you are eventually going to have to deal with that goblin again, just so you know. But I guess you could try to track down one of the others. Napwen. Yeah, I did mention that. It's the Dwarven city that's south of here, in the hilly regions, sort of in the middle of Maladia. Might be a good place to start. Good a place as any, I guess. I mean, you already have Emmerich's cuff, but I wouldn't be surprised if Corvin went there. Corvin was charismatic, and he was a bit mischievous, sort of tough on the outside. But he was also very sentimental. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all if he had hidden his somewhere in Napwen. Would probably be a good place to start. The dwarf that Corvin was close to? Yeah, what was her name? Callus? No, Karis. Karis, that was it. Yeah, Karis. She was a Spitfire. She was a ranger. So, they sort of bonded over that. I mean, he was more of a sword fighter. She was more of an archer, but they can respect each other as good fighters and hunters and all those kinds of things. So, yeah, Karis. I mean, I don't know if she would be alive anymore. Dwarves don't live quite as long as elves do, and that all happened 300 years ago. But maybe there's someone who would remember Karis, or might know something about them. Unfortunately, that's probably the best kind of lead that you're going to get. I mean, unless you wanted to go to Namasera. That's where Malva went after everything. I did, yes. In the journal, I mentioned that she had a difficult task ahead of her. You see, I bound this energy, the energy of the Hollow, and I made sure that this energy wouldn't hurt anyone. But Calamus showed me a side of humans that I didn't know existed. And frankly, it scared me. So I made up another ritual, actually, before I performed the ritual that bound this magic. And it was one that was supposed to take away the knowledge of magic from humans, from the people that we had taught at this place. And it was something that I did out of fear. It was. But it didn't come to pass for quite a while, actually. Malva went back to Namasera and said that, they needed to do this ritual so that humans didn't basically destroy the whole land. And they didn't believe her. Until the Civil War happened, with the humans and the elves fighting. And then they did believe her. And they did perform that ritual that I had started. They called it the Great Separation, and the land has never been the same since. Yeah. You know, I set out to share magic with everyone. I just wanted it to be something that made people's lives better. But I was zealous and foolish. And I underestimated the greed of humanity. Their desire for power. It was a mistake I will pay for the rest of my existence. I paid for it with my life, and now my spirit is bound to this place, so I can't leave Whisperwind. You know, I can be here, I can go a little ways into town, really, but for the most part, I'm stuck here. So, but what am I going to do about it now, huh? I didn't necessarily know that my spirit would be bound for all eternity to this spot when I did the ritual. But it is what it is. If it keeps people safe, then that's a price that I'm willing to pay. Maybe if you did end up finding all of these relics and actually unbinding the hollow, maybe my spirit would be released. I hadn't really thought of that, actually. But it's possible, I guess. Who knows? Anyway, I think the time on your little flower there is probably going to be up pretty soon. Yeah, those kinds of things don't last forever, even when they're gifts from a goddess. Now, I have some questions for you. Obviously, you're not a human. Obviously, you're an elf, right? Were you sent here by someone? A group called the Seekers. So someone found this stupid prophecy and made a whole secret society about it, and they've been trying to figure this out for the last however long? Goodness gracious. Well, okay. So you were sent here to Whisperwind to try to find the hollow? Oh no, that was a bonus. Then what were you sent here for? To find the vessel. The vessel of name once renowned, now cloaked by curse and time unfound, must be raised by keeper's hand. So you've been looking for somebody to sacrifice for the ritual? It's a little dark, don't you think? Well, I'm glad that you're doing what you can to save whoever it is you think this vessel is, but I mean, the unbinding ritual is going to require a sacrifice. I don't know exactly what it's going to be, but it's going to take a sacrifice. Hopefully it's not your vessel, because if you want to unbind this, you might not be able to save them. I guess that's a problem for another day, isn't it? Well, sounds like you have some adventuring to do, doesn't it? You know, when I told my friends to hide those relics, I told them to do it in a way that they would never be found. So if you actually find these relics, there's not really any guarantee that they're going to give them to you. Whether it's my friends or whether it's someone else that they left them with. Unless they're just buried somewhere or something, then you're going to have to convince them. You know what? In that chest of mine, there was a ring. brown bronze ring that was carved, and that was a ring of magical power, actually, that I used back when I was living. So if you had that ring, I bet that you could convince them that you're on my side, that I told you to get these things or whatever. But you're probably going to need something like that. Oh, the key in the chest. We'll talk about that another day. Yeah, no, it's a bit too much for one day, isn't it? I really hope that this dire foe that it's talking about in here is not Calamus, but I have a sinking feeling that it is. He's been alive all these years. He's never come back to Whisperwind, I can tell you that. But like I said, I've never left Whisperwind. My spirit is bound here. So it's possible that he could be alive somewhere else, doing who knows what. Well, I suppose that we'll probably have to talk again, won't we? You know, also, if you have that ring of mine, you should be able to summon me a little bit easier. Not necessarily need another astral flower, but yeah. No, there are summoning spells that you can do. You'll need some sort of a book on astral beings, probably. Well, you have one of those. Oh, well then perfect. As long as you have my ring, then you should be able to contact me again if you need me. Although I would say first, you know, maybe look through the journal more. There might be more things that I wrote in there about my companions that might help too. Either way, I'll do some thinking on where the other relics might be hidden. And you go search for what you can, I guess. This is going to be a long journey. But hopefully for the good of Whisperwind and for the good of this kingdom, you can find them. You find them and I will help you unbind the magic. As long as I have your word that you're not going to abuse it. Well, we'll get to that too eventually. One thing at a time. Well, happy hunting. I guess I'll see you again soon. Maybe sooner than you think. Well, I think our time is starting to fade, isn't it? Well, best of luck to you. There's going to be a lot still to come in this story, isn't there? Can't wait.